anyhow, yeah, that's a very common thing. I don't meet many Taiwanese who are gluten-free, but in America and in the West, if you go to the supermarket, you'll see many food products, it'll say gluten-free on the box or the package. Okay, so why don't we say it together? Gluten-free. Gluten-free. Right, so we could say he has to have a gluten-free diet. He can only, he is gluten-free. So yeah, that's very common. So let's read this word, glutinous. Glutinous. Okay, glutinous rice. Glutinous rice dumpling. Dumpling. Sticky rice dumpling. Dumpling. Yeah, of course there's many kinds of dumplings in Taiwanese and Chinese food, right? Like we like shui jiao, right, which are boiled dumplings, or zheng jiao is steamed dumpling, steamed. But then there's guo tie, right, which is, yeah, some people say that. That's very American. Usually we just say fried dumplings. But it was very interesting. I was recently, I know a couple here in Taichung, and he is from Shandong, and his wife is from Sichuan, and they invited me to their home for lunch. So he was cooking, right? And he brought out his guo tie, and I said, guo tie, and he said, what's that? And I said, what do you call it? And he said, I think they call it jian jiao, right? Jian jiao, right? He didn't really know what guo tie was when I said guo tie, but jian jiao they knew. So yeah, but yeah, it was very good. It was funny in that couple. I think the husband does all the cooking. The husband is from Shandong, so he made all this food. He kept bringing it out. But yeah, the jian jiao was very good. So anyhow, those are all kinds of dumplings. Okay. So why don't we say that word once more? Dumpling. Dumpling. Actually, there's one other dumpling that's very famous in Taiwan. We called a soup dumpling. Okay. Tang bao, yeah, like Shanghai tang bao. Like everybody likes to go to Din Tai Fung. All the foreigners go there because they get their soup dumplings. Yeah, because there's soup inside. Okay. So anyhow, going back to the article, it says eat zhongzi in moderation, health authorities say. Now, this word moderation is a good word. What does moderation mean? Yeah, don't overdo it, right? So let me show you a word. If you say, a similar word is moderate. Okay, moderate and moderation are similar. Moderation is a noun, and moderate is a 形容词. Okay, so for example, if you can say, today we are going to get moderate to heavy rain. Moderate means mild, medium. Not too big, not too heavy, not too light. Moderate to heavy means from medium to heavy rain. Okay, if sometimes you see the weather report. If you say, there's a very popular saying in English, we say, do everything in moderation. Do everything in moderation means don't do too little, don't do too much. Do everything in the middle, right? That's what some people say, okay? So moderation or moderate just means in the middle, not too heavy, not too light, not too much, not too little. Does everybody understand that? Okay, yes. Sparingly actually means as little as possible or less, yeah. So if you do something sparingly, it means you do it with, yeah, you don't do too much. It's more like saying don't do it too much. Sparingly, okay? Yeah. Okay, so why don't we say that word together? Moderate. Moderate. Moderation. Moderation. Okay. So, and then the word we just said, sparingly. Sparingly. Of course, that's a 副词, adverb. Okay. So, and it's interesting because we don't usually have that word as a 形容词. We usually say do something, he did this sparingly, okay, or shared it. Yeah, anyhow. So it says eat zhongzi in moderation, health authorities say. Okay, below that it says unhealthy habits. A study showed that 71% of Taiwanese older than 19 daily consumed excessive amounts of salt, and 17.2% consumed excessive amounts of sugar. Now, we just talked about moderation. What does excessive mean? Too much. Now, it comes from the word excess, right? If you do something in excess, or you do something excessively, as a 副词, that means you do it too much, okay? If you say you should not do this excessively, it means you don't do it too much, okay? So why don't we say it together? Excess, 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 excessive, excessive, and then as a 副词, excessively, excessively. Right, yeah. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me, actually, because when I look at food sometimes here in Taiwan, I think in America, I'm more concerned about, actually, I'm concerned about salt and sugar in America, but in Taiwan, I think it's salt that's usually the bigger problem. You know, there's salt and a lot of salt and many different things. I don't think Taiwanese eat as much sugar as Americans. The Americans love sugar. They like stuff that's really sweet, and their desserts are super sweet, and yeah, but Americans also eat a lot of salt, so their diet is often quite unhealthy. Okay, so this is not good. Of course, consume means to take in, right? You are consumers. We are consumers. We consume many things. Okay, so let's go on and read the article. It says, people should eat 粽子, glutinous rice wrapped in bamboo leaves, in moderation, and use healthier ingredients, health authorities said yesterday, as the Dragon Boat Festival approaches. Approaches, of course, means it's coming. It's almost here. Okay, so here we have glutinous rice wrapped. Okay, it's 包起来 in bamboo leaves. Okay, here we have in moderation. And what is ingredients? What is that? Yeah, we say, I think in Chinese, 材料, right? It's like whatever you put in your food. So, whenever you buy something at the supermarket, you can look at what are the ingredients of that item, right? So why don't we say together, ingredients? Ingredients. Okay, so let's read this. People should eat 粽子, glutinous rice, wrapped in bamboo leaves, in moderation, and use healthier ingredients. Let's say it again. Healthier ingredients. Health authorities said yesterday, as the Dragon Boat Festival approaches. Approaches. Right. Okay. It says here, 粽子 contains excessive calories and insufficient fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So it can be a burden to health, the Ministry of Health and Welfare told a news conference. Okay, so what is calories? I think you all know that, right? Yeah, calorie. Yeah. Don't they also say, is it 大卡 or is it 轻卡 calorie? Okay, whatever. Yeah. So anyhow, calories. When many Americans, I'm sure many Taiwanese too, if they're on a diet, we say they like to count calories, right? They look at everything, they say, how many calories is this? How many calories is this? And they count their calories, okay? So why don't we say together, calories? Calories. Okay, insufficient, of course, means what? Not enough, okay? What is fiber? How do you say this in Chinese? Yeah. So yeah, people are also very concerned with getting enough fiber. So if you look at, if you buy something at the supermarket, often it'll say how many grams of fiber there is. It's very interesting. I've been very curious about something. About, I don't know, several years ago, Coca-Cola came out with a Coke. It said Coke. It has a white can, and it says fiber. And I always wondered, how can Coke have fiber? Yeah, I don't know. I still don't understand that. I don't know. I mean, I think I drank it once, and I thought, there doesn't seem to be any fiber in here. But anyhow, yeah. So anyhow, let's say it together, fiber. Fiber. I think you know what vitamins are, right? Vitamin, right? So we have vitamin C, vitamin D, all these different vitamins. Why don't we say together, vitamins? Vitamins. And what are minerals? Iron, yeah, that would be one. Magnesium, yeah, calcium. There's all these different minerals. I mean, of course, those are also, now, of course, minerals are also things that you can dig out of the ground, right? You know, like they mine for gold. Gold's a mineral, right? Or silver or iron, okay? So why don't we say together, minerals? Minerals. Okay, so 种子, this 种子 can be a burden to health. Now, we've talked about this word together. What is a burden? Burden is something that what? That weighs you down, yeah, that you have to carry, right? So a burden can be something that you actually pick up, right? So like that backpack sometimes is a burden. Many people are like, what's in your bag? It's so heavy. And I think, I wonder what's in my bag, because it is sometimes a burden, right? It feels very heavy. But a burden can be something that's not physical, right? Like what else can be a burden to us? Our family, hopefully not too much. Your children, yeah. What else? Your kids, yeah. What else? Your students, yes. Your job, right? Many things. Money could be a burden. You could say he has many financial burdens, right? It means he has a lot of pressure, money pressure on him. So anyhow, there's many things that can be a burden. Why don't we say together, burden? Burden. Okay, so let's read this together. 种子 contains excessive calories. Let's say those last two words. Excessive calories. Calories. And insufficient fiber. Insufficient fiber. Vitamins and minerals. Minerals. So it can be a burden to health. The Ministry of Health and Welfare told a news conference. Right, which is like a 记者会. Okay, it says, citing a study conducted from 2018 to 2022, the ministry said that 71% of Taiwanese older than 19 daily consumed excessive amounts of salt, and 17.2% consumed excessive amounts of sugar, okay? Of course, remember when we say sugar, this S has a sh sound to it, right? Not S, it's sugar, okay? Okay, so let's read this. Citing a study conducted from 2018 to 2022, the ministry said that 71% of Taiwanese older than 19 daily consumed excessive amounts of salt and 17.2% consumed excessive amounts of sugar. Sugar. Okay, yeah, sugar. Yeah, I love sugar. I have to be careful. Sometimes I eat too much sugar. But I don't like, I used to drink a little bit of Diet Coke. I mean, I think the flavor is okay. Some people don't like diet soda. But then I started reading recently that diet soda is like almost worse for you than sugar soda. I mean, I'm not saying sugar soda, soda with sugar is good for you, but they say that the diet soda, many people drink diet soda because it doesn't have sugar, right? But they said that the chemicals in diet soda, this is what I read, that the chemicals in diet soda are not good for you either, right? Yes, saccharin, and there's some other variations. There's many sugar-free chemicals that make it sweet. but they said it, I think it said something, it's very interesting. It said something like the chemicals trick your body into, I forget what it does, but anyhow, so they say people who drink really high amounts of diet, I'm sure if you drink one can a day or something, it's fine, but they said people who drink high amounts of diet soda, it's really unhealthy for them. I think about my business partner at COMPASS magazine. I don't think he still does, but I remember he used to drink enormous amounts of diet soda. I think at one point, this is many years ago, I hope he doesn't mind me telling you this, but I remember years ago, he told me that he was drinking up to, I think he said 2 liters of diet soda, Coke per day. And I was like, ugh, that doesn't sound very good. I hope he's still not drinking that's 2,000 cc's, right, of diet soda. So, yeah, he's still alive. Yeah. So I really hope he's not drinking that much diet soda anymore. But I read something though. This is a side note. I heard one of the big problems is that most soda, that's sugar soda, it doesn't use real sugar. It actually uses sweetened corn syrup. I don't know how you say corn syrup. Corn is yumi, but they make a syrup out of it, and they put it in many, many, many products here. Yeah, and they said that actually is not very healthy. So in America right now, there is a trend. Many people, if they drink soda, they want to drink soda with real sugar, not or they use special sugar. They call it cane sugar. Cane means C-A-N-E. Cane comes from 甘蔗, right? What is it? 甘蔗is the sugar cane. So they like natural sugar cane soda because they say that's healthier than sweetened corn syrup. Anyhow, I'd say the key is what? Moderation, right? Don't drink too much. So I still drink soda sometimes, but maybe I would say for me, average, maybe I have 1 can per week, maybe once per week. That's like my special treat. So yeah. Okay, so here it says, the research showed that 88.5, I was just going to say, I was thinking, I hope Coca-Cola doesn't sue me, right? Because I've been, yeah. So anyhow, it says here, the research showed that 88.5% of Taiwanese did not eat enough fruits. 98% did not consume enough dairy products, and 87.9% did not eat enough seeds and nuts, it said. Okay, so this is very interesting. 88.5%, I mean, that's a lot. That's a high amount, right? It's almost 90% did not eat enough fruits. Now, if you know Taiwan, Taiwan is like the fruit kingdom, right? There's so much fruit out there. When my Western friends come to Taiwan, they love the fruit here. They go crazy over the fruit. So it's interesting that I'm very surprised to hear this actually. Now I want to add something here. It says, do not eat enough fruits. Okay, fruit is an interesting word because we can actually use fruit as a plural. You could say, did not eat enough fruit without the S. So either one, if you say, I like to eat fruit, or I like many kinds of fruit, you could say it with the S or you could say it without the S. Either one is okay. So they did not eat enough fruits. They did not consume enough dairy products. What's dairy mean? Yeah, we could simply say milk products or milk-related products or whatever. Yeah. So what do dairy products include? Of course, there's milk, but what else? Cheese, what else? Yogurt, yeah, what else? Butter, right? Yeah, but I'm a little bit confused. Butter and cream in Chinese are the same word, aren't they? Are they different? Isn't it all 奶油? Cream, you know what cream is? It's like heavy milk. You add it to your coffee sometimes, right? With milk, you have the fat part, and you take that off the top, and it makes the milk less fat. And we call that cream, like ice cream, right? CREAM. But in Chinese, isn't that also... Oh, that's 鲜奶油. Oh, okay. Okay, because butter is 奶油, right? Right. It's thick, yeah. You have to spread it. But cream is like a liquid, right? Like ice cream, that cream. Cream of the, no, the best means cream of the crop. Yeah, that's a good expression, actually. If you say cream of the crop. Now, crop, you know what crop means, right? What are crops? Yeah, but crop is basically, it's like a harvest or like rice or wheat. Yeah, crops. It's like something from the farm, right? It's a very interesting expression because normally we don't associate cream with crop, right? But this is a very common expression. If you say cream of the crop, it means the best of the best, the very top end. So if you say this class is the cream of the crop, it means you are the best of every of the general group, right? Or he is the cream of the crop, means he's the top. He is the best student or whatever, best person. Yeah, so this is a very interesting expression, but it's quite common. So why don't we just say it quickly? Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. Right. I mean, we would, sometimes we just simply say best of the best, right? Okay. It means, the top, the elite. So yeah. Okay, so here it says they did not need enough fruit. They did not eat enough dairy products. Why don't we say that word dairy? Dairy. Okay, it's funny. When I was younger, I often got this word mixed up with another word, which is diary. What's a diary? Yeah, it's a journal. Maybe some of you, I don't know, maybe even today, but maybe when you were younger, you kept we say to keep a diary. A diary is what? Every day you write in your book and you say, oh, today I did this and I saw this person and I ate lots of ice cream and, I did all kinds of things. So it's a record of your life, okay? And we call that a diary. But if you look at these two words, they look very similar. It's just the A and the I, right? So why don't we say that word, diary? Diary. There's another word that we often use instead of diary. I mean, this is the most common word, but some people will say to keep a journal. This is the word we get like, journalist, which is like a 记者, right? A reporter. So we say a journal. So sometimes people will say, I keep a journal or I keep a diary. Yeah. So, and we always say to keep. It's an interesting, we don't say to write. We could say I write in my diary or I write in my journal, but if you have one and you maintain it, you keep it going. We just say to keep a diary, to keep a journal. Okay, so why don't we say it one more time? Diary. Diary. Journal. Journal. Okay, so, but here we're talking about dairy, not diary. So it's dairy products, and 87.9% did not eat enough seeds and nuts. What are seeds? Yeah, there's many kinds of seeds. I mean, almost every fruit that you eat has seeds in it, right? Some seeds are really big, like a mango, right? We're coming to mango season soon, and a mango has a huge seed. In fact, if you have like a peach, a shui mi tao, or a mango where there's one big seed in the middle, right? There's a special word we use for that. I don't know if anybody knows that, but we call that big seed. We call that a pit. P-I-T. So, when you eat a peach, you should, of course, you don't want to eat the pit. You take the pit out, okay? Or the mango has a big pit in the middle of it. It's a huge seed. Okay, so anyhow, seeds and nuts. And what kind of nuts do we have? Macadamia. That's called Xiaowei dou. Yeah, it's a funny name. It's like Hawaiian beans. I love that word. Okay, what else? Almonds. Yeah, almonds are very healthy and very good. Almonds. What? Peanuts. Yeah, technically, I remember reading this many times. Peanut is technically not a nut. It's actually like a bean, like a toads. It's in the same category, but everyone calls it a nut and they consider nut. But almonds, we have, last night I had cashews. What are cashews? It's a yao guo, right? Yao guo. I had yao guo jiding, right? But another one that's everyone talks, walnuts. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Everyone talks about walnuts and being very healthy. Yeah. Pistachios. Yeah, that's a yeah. Some people say pistachio or they say pistachio nut. They add the word nut to that. Yeah. So there's one other one. Oh, there's one that's very popular. You see a lot. It's called hazelnut. Yeah. So anyhow, there's many kinds of nuts. I mean, there's even more. But yeah, why don't we say these together? Walnuts. Walnuts. Almonds. Almonds. Cashews. Cashews. Okay, this is interesting. This has a CH sound to it, right? Pistachios. Pistachios. Actually, wait, I'm saying that it's a sh, not more of a sh sound. Yeah, it's Italian, so it's pistachio. Sorry, I said that wrong. It's not a ch, it's a sh. Let's say it again. Pistachios. Pistachios. Hazelnut. Hazelnuts. Okay, and of course, you all know peanuts. It's very funny. Sometimes I've heard people argue about how to say this word. Some people say almonds and some people say almonds. Yeah, but I think, well, I say almonds, so anyhow. But sometimes you hear people say almonds. Yeah. But I think almond is probably better. Yeah. Okay, so there's many kinds of nuts, and they say, it's healthy to eat seeds and nuts too. So, okay. So let's read this together. The research showed that 88.5% of Taiwanese did not eat enough fruits. 98% did not consume enough dairy products. And 87.9% did not eat enough seeds and nuts. It said. Yeah. There is one thing I've noticed about nuts is they're very expensive. If you buy nuts, they're not cheap, at least the ones I've seen. Okay. So, yes. Yeah. Up until, I don't know, about 5, 6, 7 years ago, Dairy Queen came back to Taipei. There was one in Tianmu. I went there. I was kind of excited. So I was like, oh, I got to go to Tianmu and try the Dairy Queen. But yeah, I think Dairy Queen's still in America. Yeah. And I don't know, for those of you who are like my age or, older, you may remember there was actually a Dairy Queen in Taichung. Does anyone remember this? Yeah, actually it was right near Taichung Gongyuan. It was just off of, actually, no. It was near Taichung Gongyuan on Ziyou. So if you come down to the corner of Taichung Gongyuan and Ziyou, there used to be a McDonald's there, Maidanlao. And if you turn there at Maidanlao heading downtown on Ziyou, just like 10 meters down, there was a Dairy Queen there. Yeah, I remember that. And I think it was here for about, I don't know, several years, 5 years. It just seems so weird that there was a Dairy Queen in so Dairy, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Dairy Queen is a very popular American fast food store. And it's called Dairy Queen. They serve ice cream, but they have ice cream, but they also have good hot dogs, rugo. So, but they're as you can tell from their name, they're very famous for their ice cream. And I still remember they had a place in Taichung. Yeah. That's a good question. I don't know. No, I've been there once, but it was years ago, like 5 years ago or something. Yeah. I will say there's a couple other fast food. They're kind of like fast foods. I'm not promoting fast food, but I do think I'm a little bit disappointed. There's at least two American chains that have not come to Taichung. They're in Taipei, but they have not come to Taichung. Huh? Popeyes. Yeah. Popeyes. Have you heard of Popeyes? Okay. You know, Popeye is a cartoon character, right? Popeye the sailor. You know Popeye? How do you say it in Chinese? Okay. Okay. There's a very famous American fast food chain called Popeye's Fried Chicken, 炸鸡. And they just opened about 6 months ago in Taipei. And their chicken is from Louisiana, Joel. It's a Louisiana-style chicken. So I've been waiting for them to come to Taichung. But the other one is Krispy Kreme. Yeah, so Krispy Kreme makes Tian Tian Quan or Donut Quan, you know, and they're very famous. And they have many stores in Taipei. So I don't know why they're not in Taichung. So if anybody is listening to this, you know, please come to Taichung. So yeah. Okay. And again, I'm not promoting fast food, but it'd be fun to have that here. Okay. So here it says, 粽子 ingredients can include a broader variety of vegetables to alleviate health concerns. Health Promotion Agency Deputy Director General Jia Shuli said. Okay, so ingredients, there's that word, 材料, can include a broader variety of vegetables, 蔬菜, to alleviate health concerns. I think we've talked about this word before. What does alleviate mean? Yeah, to reduce or to make better, right? Usually it means that if you are having problems, like you're sick and you have some 症状, you know, like you're coughing, or you have a cold, or you know, you're not feeling well, or you have health issues, maybe you feel weak or something, and you want to alleviate those things, it means to make them, to reduce them so that your health is better, right? So if you say, if you have a 感冒, if you have a cold, what do you take to alleviate your cold? Some people say, Panadol or vitamin C, vitamin C, or some people just say drink lots of water or whatever. So yeah. So why don't we say it together? Alleviate. Alleviate. I'll give you another common example. If you have a headache, you know, 头痛, a lot of people take painkiller like aspirin or whatever to alleviate their headache. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So let's read this together. 粽子 ingredients. Ingredients can include a broader variety of vegetables. Vegetables to alleviate health concerns. Health concerns. Health Promotion Agency Deputy Director General Jia Shuli said. Okay. It's no good. Yeah. No, I mean, 粽子, you can't put a bunch of 蔬菜 in 粽子 because then it's not really a good 粽子, right? I like the 粽子 to just have pork and peanuts and mushrooms, right? That's it, right? I don't, huh? Oh yeah, well, I don't like the egg yolk too much, but anyhow, I don't like egg yolk in my 月饼 either. So, but I'm American, so yeah, but yeah, egg yolk I know is in the good. To be honest, I don't really like the sweet. You know, there's sweet 粽子 too, right? The 甜的 one. I don't really like the 甜. I like the 咸的 ones. Yeah. Okay. So anyhow, yeah. So it says here, most commercially available 粽子 the agency sampled contain excess sodium, salt, and sugar, while almost entirely lacking fruits and vegetables. Well, I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know of any 粽子 that has fruit in it. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Okay. HPA official Jin Yihua said, okay. Now, here it says, most commercially available 粽子. When we say commercially available, what does that mean? Yeah, it means it's made, it's for sale. It doesn't mean if you make it at home, that's your own 粽子, right? But if it says commercially available, it means it's for sale. It's at a supermarket or it's at a store or a restaurant. Okay, So we say commercially available. Okay, why don't we say it together? Commercially available. Available. Okay, now this is interesting. What is sodium? Yeah, it's Na. Yeah, but sodium is very closely associated with salt. Okay, so a lot of people say if you should not take in too much sodium, or you have high blood pressure, right? 高血压, right? And so you have to be careful about that. And then of course sugar. Yeah. So anyhow, let's read this. Most commercially available 粽子 the agency sampled contain excess sodium. Salt and sugar, while almost entirely lacking fruits and vegetables. HPA official Jin Yihua said. Okay, now I just want to make sure you know, to lack means what? 缺, right? If you lack something, you say, today I'm lacking energy, right? I don't have enough, okay? So if you lack something, you say, it means just you have a shortage of something. Lacking something would be kind of the opposite of excess, right? So lacking entirely, of course, another word of saying entirely would be completely, right? Entirely, completely. You can say he is entirely wrong, means he's completely wrong, okay? So this is some good words here. Okay, people should eat lighter flavored 粽子, favor those made with whole grains, and eat no more than one portion per meal, or share their portion with somebody, Jin said. Soy glaze, honey, and other dips should be used sparingly. There's that word you just said, sparingly, he said. Okay, so lighter flavored. Okay, lighter flavored. What would be the opposite of lighter flavored? Heavy flavored, right? So lighter flavor means the flavor is not too strong, right? So favor those made with whole grains. Okay, when you say we favor those made with whole grains, what does that mean? I prefer, right? It means I lean towards, I prefer those made with whole grains. Again, I think this is kind of crazy, right? Because who makes 粽子 with whole grains? You make it with glutinous rice, right? I mean, that's it, right? I don't make it with wheat. I don't make it with, corn or whatever. Okay, it says eat no more than one portion per meal. What portion means one serving. Yeah, that would be another way of saying a serving. You say I had one serving of rice, okay? One serving of vegetables, okay? So we could say a portion, a serving, okay? Although sometimes we have big portions or small portions, big servings, small servings. Okay, so why don't we say a word together? Portion. Serving. Now, a portion can also mean a piece of something, right? You can say he gave me a portion of his steak. It could just mean a piece, 一片, right? It doesn't necessarily mean a serving, but it could be. Okay? Yes. Helping would be similar too. Yeah. So he just mentioned the word a helping of something, which is kind of funny, right? The word helping, help means usually to help someone, right? But you could say a serving, a helping of food. It means a portion. Yeah. So very similar words. Okay. Or it says here, share their portion with somebody. Okay. With someone else. Okay. Now, here's some interesting words. It says soy glaze. Now, soy refers to what? Like, 酱油 is soy sauce, right? But what is glaze? Glaze. Does anyone know this word? If you go to restaurants, if you go out and you eat a lot, I'm trying to think of a good example. Yeah, kind of. When they make, Beijing 烤鸭, they take like an oil or something or sugar and they glaze, they coat it. And so when I think of glaze, usually it's 透明的 and it's shiny, and so, but many 甜点, they also have a glaze on them. And so it's usually clear, like 透明的, and it's kind of shiny. And so they put it on there. And so we call that a glaze. Now we could say to glaze something also means to, as a 动词, you can say to glaze. Now, glaze can also be used for non-food products, right? You could glaze, if you were doing some sort of 艺术品 and you wanted to put on a shiny glaze on something. A what? Yeah, you could put it on there, and so it's kind of clear, right? But shiny, okay? So glaze. Now, there's another word, another way to use this word. If you say, he had a glazed look to his face, or his eyes were glazed over, it means that he looks like he's, how do I put it? It looks, when someone looks glazed, it means they look like they're not there, like their mind is somewhere else, like they're not really looking at you. They're looking at you, but they're not really looking at you. So you could say his face or his eyes had a glazed appearance. Okay, so and some people, they drink alcohol, 喝酒, or they, 吃毒品, and their eyes, they just look like they're not seeing things. Their eyes are open, but they're not seeing things. We say their eyes had a glazed look to them, like they're not really seeing what's around them, even though their eyes are open. Does everybody understand that? Okay, it's another expression. So if you say he had a glazed look, or his eyes had a glazed appearance, that's what it means. It's like yeah. Okay, so here we have soy glaze, honey, of course, honey, right? And other dips. Okay, now dip comes from the word, the 动词. If you dip something, what do? 蘸, right? You dip something. Like if you eat, many things people like to dip their food into something like 酱油 or some sauce or something. But a dip can also be a 名词. So we could say, sometimes you go to a restaurant and they give you many kinds of dips. Maybe one is salsa or mayonnaise or soy sauce or whatever, and you have many kinds of dips. So yeah, that's all it means. Now, of course, you can dip yourself into the swimming pool, or you can say, I dip my foot into the water. It means to put it into something, right? So you could do that too. So here's that word that he mentioned at the beginning, sparingly. So sparingly means just a little bit, okay? Now, we can also say sparing. He was sparing in his, in how he uses his money, or he uses his money sparingly. It means he's very careful about how he uses his money. He doesn't overspend his money, okay? So you can say he's very sparing with his time, okay? If someone is very sparing with their time, it means they're very careful about how they use their time. They do not waste their time, okay? Okay, so or you can say he uses his time sparingly. So the word can be used as a 形容词 or 副词. So why don't we say it together? Sparing. Sparing. Sparingly. Sparingly. Okay, so let's read this. People should eat lighter flavored 粽子. Lighter flavored 粽子. Favor those made with whole grains. Whole grains. And eat no more than one portion per meal. Or share their portion with someone. Chin said. Soy glaze, honey, and other dips should be used sparingly. Sparingly, he said. Okay. I just want to, you all know what whole grains are, right? What is it? Is it 全麦 or no, that's whole wheat. Sorry, that's whole wheat. But whole grains are, 全麦 would be a kind of whole grain, right? There's many kinds of whole grains. Yeah, grain. So why don't we say the word grains?
Grain.
Grains.
Grain.
Yeah, when we say grain, there's many different kinds of grain, okay? Yeah. This word, I just want to say again, to favor something means, if someone says, what do you prefer? Do you prefer Italian food or Chinese food? And someone might say, oh, I favor Chinese food, okay? It means I prefer Chinese food. So that word favor can be used. Now, if you show favor to somebody, it means you are showing extra attention or consideration to them, right? You show favor to them, okay? Now, of course, if I do someone a favor, it means I do something special for them. You know, if you ask someone to help you, say, please, could you do me a favor? Could you help me go and get this? Or could you help me buy this? You know? Or sometimes we say it in a different way. We might say, could you do me a favor and stop talking? you know, just be quiet, you know. So we could say it that way too, right? If you say, just please, it's like saying please do this, okay? So favor is actually a good word. It's a common word that we can use in many different ways. Basically, or you're being very direct with them in a slightly polite way. Yes. Yeah. Pork knuckle, yeah. I'm not sure. Not sauerkraut. I'm not sure what the German word is for it. I mean, we always say pork and sauerkraut or pork knuckle and sauerkraut, right? So knuckle, you know what a knuckle is, right? A knuckle is, this is your knuckles here on your hand. Yeah. So, but we could also say pork, pig's feet, or pork feet, pig's feet. Yeah. But you mentioned the word sauerkraut is 德国酸菜. Yeah. Sour. Now, of course, when they say sour, they don't spell it the way we do. In German, S-A-U-R-K. This is 德国酸菜. So if you ever go to a restaurant and says, you know, German pork knuckle and sauerkraut, it's 酸菜, but German 酸菜, okay? So why don't we say together, sauerkraut? Sauerkraut. In my father's home area in Bingzhou, they really love sauerkraut. And many people make their own sauerkraut. Just like in Hanguo, you know, people like to make their own kimchi, right? Hanguo pao cai. But it's funny because some of my friends really do not like sauerkraut. They don't like the taste of it. But it's supposed to be very healthy, actually. Good for your stomach. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know the German name for that. If you hear that name, please let me know. I forget what that is. Okay. Okay. Let's just read these two paragraphs and then we'll go to a different story. It says, sauces should be scooped out of the containers with clean and dry utensils to ensure their preservation, he said. Expiration dates for sauces apply only if the packaging remains unopened, and once opened, sauces should be refrigerated and consumed as soon as possible, he said. Okay, so first of all, sauce, of course, is a different kind of jiang, right? But scooped, what does the scoop mean? Like to wah, right? Right, yeah. What do we normally scoop? What's my favorite thing to scoop? Ice cream, right. Yeah, and so the scoop can also be a special, like it's shaped like a bowl, and you use a, you know, when you go to like the restaurant and they have an ice cream place area, they usually have a scoop, right? And you use the scoop to scoop the ice cream. So why don't we say together, scoop, scoop. Okay, so scooped out of a container. Container, of course, is anything that you use to hold something, like a a box or a bowl or something. So scooped out of containers with clean and dry utensils. Now, I don't know if we've learned this word, but what is a utensil? Yeah, it's basically anything that you use to help you, well, you often to eat, but you could use this word for other purposes too. But when I hear this word, it's usually for food and eating. So what are some utensils we use? A fork, spoon, knife, yeah. I guess you could even say chopsticks are a kind of utensil, right? Because it's something that we use to help us eat. So we call that a utensil. But I've seen this word, sometimes utensil, used in other things. Like we could say a cleaning utensil, something you use to clean, right? Yeah, and I'm sure there's other kinds of utensils. But I will say this word is most common for food and eating, like a fork, a knife, a spoon. Okay, so let's say it together, utensils. Utensils. So actually an ice cream scoop would be a kind of utensil, right? Okay, so to ensure, of course, when we say to ensure, it means to make sure, right, their preservation. Now, of course, when we want to preserve something, we don't want it to what? What's the word? Go bad or what? There's another more common word. To spoil, right? If something spoils, you should not eat it, okay? To spoil. What is that? 宠坏, right? It's to go bad. Like he said, to go bad, okay? You know, like sometimes you open up, you have your milk in your refrigerator too long, or maybe it's sitting outside, and you open it and you smell it and it smells sour, right? And you say, okay, this milk is spoiled, okay? And of course, most foods can spoil if you let them out too long. I have to confess, if sometimes I put stuff in the refrigerator and I leave it there for a very long time. And my attitude, it's always like, well, if it's in the refrigerator, it's okay. So I'll just eat it. But that's probably not a good idea. Yeah. So, yeah. So anyhow, it says here should be scooped out of containers with clean and dry utensils, okay, to ensure their preservation. Now, below it says expiration dates. What is an expiration date? It's a date that something, what? Yeah, or to use this word, it says something expires. Okay? Yeah, expiry. We could say expiry date, like expiry date. What besides food, what else can expire? Your driver's license, your passport, your visa. But actually, there's a very interesting, I'll let you, this sounds kind of grim, but if someone expires, a person expires, what does that mean? It means they die. Yeah. So if you say that person expired, it means it sounds kind of funny, right? But actually, that's the official word that people use. They say that person expired. It means they died. Okay. Now, it's not a word that we use every day, but it is a word. It's actually a correct word. We use it for that. Okay. It almost sounds like they reached their date, they're due by date. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a formal word. No, it's not joking. It's actually a real word. We actually say that. Someone expired. But it's not as common. I mean, obviously we just say people died, or what? Deceased. Yeah, they're. So anyhow, so expiration dates. Now it's very interesting because when you buy a lot of food in America, it doesn't say expiration date. It actually says best by, or best before, or best by. Okay. And it just means it's best if you eat this food by this date. But it doesn't say expiration. It means that I guess you could eat it after this date, but it's best. Whoops, I spelled that wrong. It's best before that date. Okay, yeah, best by or best before. Okay, so it says expiration dates for salsas apply only if the package remains unopened. So it means basically if you open it, that expiration date doesn't apply. It means it means that you should eat it earlier, before that date. If it says best by, December 31st, 2026, and you open it, You can't wait until December 31st, 2026. You have to eat it before then. Okay, so it says once open, sauces should be refrigerated, of course, means put in the 冰箱, and consumed as soon as possible. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. I really don't know. You've all heard that term, right? To kick, what's a bucket? A bucket is like yeah. So kick the bucket. I have no idea where that word came from. Yeah. But I thought of that, but usually if that was the case though, then it would be suicide, right? 自杀. But kick the bucket is not suicide. Right, but that's 自杀, that's suicide, right? I don't know. To me, I mean, because if kick the bucket meant suicide, then yeah, I would understand that. But suicide means 自杀. But kick the bucket is just a general word that means to die, right? Yeah. But that's a very casual word. You know, if you're in a formal 正式 setting, you don't say, you know, if you're at somebody's funeral, you don't say, today we're here to remember this person who kicked the bucket. You would never say that. Okay. If you did, people would be like, what, you know, get out of here, you know? Yeah. So yeah, it's a very casual word. Okay. Expression, I should say. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I mean, we just say it's about to expire. We would just say there's no, often we say something there's actually another expression. We say a food is getting, or it's near its shelf date. It's another way of saying its expiration date. Shelf, you know what a shelf is? In a supermarket, you have many shelves, right? And you put food. So if something is past its shelf date, it means you should get rid of it. Okay, you should throw it out. It's past it. But yeah, there's no special term for that. We just say this food is nearing its expiration date, so it's on sale. I'll be honest, I love going to 家乐福, and they always have a special section where they have all the food that's near its expiration date, and it's really cheap, you know? And, special sale. I mean, sometimes it's really cheap, like imported products, you know, like American cereal and other import products. And you look at the price and it's like 50% off, right? And you're like, wow, this is great, you know? So I love going there. It's like a treasure hunt, you know, just to look for, yes. A bucket. Okay. It's the motion. It's the action. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those expressions that's kind of strange and nobody seems to know. But yeah, if something is past the shelf, I will, let me just give you a side note. This is kind of funny, but I don't think they do this in Taiwan, but American university students, not all American, a few, and including some of my friends. I never did this, but there's something this is very funny. It's called dumpster. That's a P. Diving. Okay, dumpster is a 大垃圾桶. Okay. You know, like if you go to like a special event or you go behind sometimes you go behind like a 超级市场, they'll have a huge 垃圾桶. It's very big. It usually has wheels, right? And you can push it, right? And you can throw all your 垃圾in there. Dumpster dive, what does dive mean? To like 潜水, right? To dive, right? So some American university students, including some of my friends, they would go dumpster diving. And if you think that sounds very strange, I'll tell you what it means. American supermarkets are very, very careful to throw out all their food that is past its shelf date. So that means anything that's even like 1 hour or 2 hours over its shelf date, they throw it away. They don't give it away. They don't put it on sale. They just throw it out. And so what do American university students do? They go behind the supermarket and they look in the dumpsters for food that was just thrown away. And it's perfectly good, right? Maybe it's, frozen pizza that's just 1 hour overdue, right? Or it's, some other foods. And sometimes there's all kinds of food there. And it's fine. I mean, honestly, the food is okay. But this, what? Yeah, it's all packaged. It's all wrapped. It's all, honestly, it's like 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, it was still on the shelf, right? But the supermarket will throw it away because they don't want, there's legal issues, right? According to the 法律, the 规定, you have to throw everything away as soon as it's over. So they just every day they throw out all this food. And so some people will go to the dumpsters and they'll just open and see what's in there, and they'll see all this food and they'll be like, oh, that looks good. And they just take it. And they can do that. I don't think the supermarket probably likes it, but I've had some friends, many people, if you talk about American university students, this is a way to get cheap food. It sounds kind of gross, kind of terrible, but it's actually fine. The food is okay. It's just the supermarket has to get rid of it. So they call that dumpster diving because they dive into the dumpster. Yeah. Yeah. It's like in Taiwan, it used to be at 农历过年, people would throw out all their furniture, right? And it would be fine, right? The furniture would be perfectly good, but people put it out in front of their home. And I had friends I heard you can't do this anymore. I heard it's not allowed anymore. But in the old days, my friends would go looking for furniture and they'd be like, oh, that looks good. You want it? No? Okay, I'll take it home, So, yeah, it's kind of weird. I know not everybody likes to do that because they might think, whose furniture is this? Or maybe this furniture has someone's bad luck, right? Or or something. So I don't want to take it. But yeah, anyhow, I know some people feel the same way about secondhand clothes, right? In America, there's many stores that sell secondhand clothing, and you go there, and my sister loves to go to those places. You go there, and there's all kinds of designer clothes, brand name clothes. It's really good, and it's really cheap. Of course, they clean it. They wash it, right? So it's clean. Salvation Army is there's another one called, not Salvation Army, it's called, no, there's another, it's like Salvation Army. It's called Goodwill stores. And people just give away their stuff. And not just clothes, other stuff, furniture, other stuff. They don't want it. They just give it. And so they clean it up or they make it look good, and you go to the store and it's super cheap. So yeah. Anyhow, even TVs and things like that. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, so let's read this together. Sauces should be scooped out of the containers with clean and dry utensils. To ensure their preservation. He said. Expiration dates. Let's say it again. Expiration dates for sauces apply only if the packaging remains unopened. And once opened, sauces should be refrigerated. Let's say it again. Refrigerated and consumed as soon as possible. He said. Yeah, sorry, I can't move the screen up further. But yeah, so yeah, I just want to add, when we say preservation, of course, there's many things that we can preserve besides food. What else do we preserve? Fruit, yeah, but outside of food, what else? The environment, we could preserve the environment. If you go down to like I love to go down to Taichung, like Zhongqu, the central district. There's many buildings that have been preserved, like the Taichung Huozhe right? The building has been preserved, right? It's there. In America, we have many groups. They're like NGOs. They're called preservation societies. And what they do is they go around and they look at old buildings or old places and they try to protect them. They try to save them or preserve them so they're not torn down or destroyed. Okay, I think Taiwan has the same thing. I see many old buildings down in the old district that are been preserved. Yeah. So, okay. Any questions about this? Okay, so let's go to the next. Oops. Oh, there we are. I thought this